Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nephilim Death Squad. I am David Lee Corbo, a.k.a. The Raven. That is Top Lobsta, the father of disinformation.
We totally are on time and not scrambling.
We're not
good.
30 minutes late. Are we 30 minutes late? Before we do the big guest reveal, we have to tell you guys where we're going to be at the end of the 30-minute mark when we go live exclusively to patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad to shake off the filthy masses, the unwashed, unclean pores.
I don't like how you talk about these people pay us.
Some of them like it, some of them don't like it. Anywho, we're gonna go there, and if you want to continue watching this episode, enjoying early access, ad-free viewing experiences, and first dibs on Bohemian Grove tickets when they drop, and they will drop February, March is what we're looking at. This is the place for you. Also, a little discount code off of merchandise from toplobsta.com. Which one do you want to look at today? Let's look at
look at our
I do like the one that you have on.
Steven, we'll let Steven pick.
Steven, pick a shirt. Which one should we pick, Steven?
How about the reptilian vomiting right there?
He likes the acidic.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize what it said.
You anti-Semite.
We picked that one the last show, so let's pick a better one.
All right, fine. How about binaural beatdown? That's a fun one. Fine. I love binaural beatdown.
No, they're cool.
And that's what happens when you have a fan that syncs your heavies up when you're sleeping, and you get beat up by
today's guest.
Joining us today is Steven of the Biblical Hitmen in studio. Very cool. I wish we had a
we have
cheers
applause
button
in
the crowd.
Where is it? That doesn't count at all. Steven, before we get into the conversation, what is it that you do, and where can people find what you do?
Yeah, so I'm the host of the Biblical Hitmen. It's a group of us, me, Taylor, Jesse, and love those guys. And well, everyone can find us pretty much anywhere. YouTube primarily for video stuff.
Video sex.
I know video. And audio stuff. You can find us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. But we're on X, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much anywhere you can consume content.
I think this is the beginning of something really wonderful, because Steven just brought to our attention that he's only like 35 minutes away, and he's actually moving a little bit closer. So this is going to be cool. We're going to be doing a lot more in studio stuff. And before you came here, you went and saw Matt over at the Standard Coffee Shop, which was awesome. And you said horrifying things about him. Do you want to repeat those here?
Dude, we should have been recording, to be honest with you. We were getting into some nitty gritty stuff, man. But yeah, Matt, nice to meet you, man. Shout out. Awesome coffee. Wonderful experience there. They've got cushions on their flat benches, which is nice.
It is nice. Yeah. It is a really cool situation. I'm sure he showed off his Christian library in the back as he.
Well, I didn't know about it until I had to use the restroom, and someone was like, "You're going to cut through a big space before you get into the, you got to go by the exit sign in the back to get to the bathroom." And I'm looking in there, and there's like a meeting of people.
What were they doing? Were they doing the sacrifice?
They had crystals out.
I was eavesdropping.
There was a lot of salt circles and yeah. No,
they do like Bible studies at any given moment. You can walk through there. On my counter over there, they were doing like the Hebrew biblical calendar on Fridays. Bible studies with different groups. Sewing Bible studies.
They were doing sewing Bible study groups where they would sew.
It's gotten
stuff.
so bad that so we're gonna have the Blue Letter Bible guy on the show.
That's right, which is very cool.
I was talking with Matt this morning, and I go, so we could just come and we'll bring stuff and we can interview him there.
He goes, I literally don't care what you do here.
No, but he's like, you can't do that on Thursday. And I was like, why not? He's like, because these guys sew for 4 hours in the back in that time frame, so we can't do that there.
Why would he do that? I thought we had priority.
I was like, whose shop is this?
I don't understand. It's like apparently theirs for 4 hours at least. Yeah,
it's a busy shop but they're doing cool stuff, man. I really like that place.
Isn't it cool though to be like meeting up with homies in person and not, because I don't know how your life is set up, Steven, but previously I couldn't schizophrenically talk about the Bible to people IRL. I had to do it here, to these fine individuals in the chat who are saying racial slurs actually as we speak. And now all of a sudden I'm finding like fertile ground in which to go and say these things to actual living, breathing individuals who aren't just names on a screen. Isn't it cool to be able to do that?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. You in a way don't feel as lonely as maybe you once did. But no, I mean, just finally actually talking to people face to face rather than looking at a computer screen, waiting for someone to stop talking. Then you talk. It kind of like changes up the dynamic.
You can see me spinning my actual fidget spinner in real life. Is this weird for you?
That's
Is it weird?
It's weird, yeah.
That's good. I've got multiple things. I got this.
You're a
thing.
fidgeter.
I don't know.
Yeah, we like to fidget. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk had his fidget ring.
Oh, that's right. The
It's a
hinge ring.
Big misconception. They're like, look, it's AI. It was on this finger. I get it, Charlie. I get it.
You know what though,
Get
dude?
it?
When it first happened, and it's not slowed down any,
It's
at
gotten
all.
worse.
But it was like the schizo speculating about the smallest details. What's that thing? There's like a dot on his shirt. What's under his shirt? Look at his ring. It moves from one finger to the next, and you kind of like. I don't begrudge these people, but I didn't partake in it right away. I sat back and let it all. And then, of course, as some time passes, they go, it's a hinge ring. Never heard of a hinge ring, but apparently it's a ring that opens up like a little swinging latch instead of sliding it on your finger. And he is kind of infamous for fidgeting with this thing. As you say, Charlie Kirk is a fidgeter. He did this all the time. So really weird fog of war right after, these horrifying events on that university campus.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed too is when hyper reality moments happen like that, the space starts moving very fast. You see it taking place with social media now, which it's like insanely crazy because things can get out there and viral with 11 million hits in probably 30 minutes now. So people need to slow down. The world is moving very fast, and I think that is purposely driven to not only confuse people and mix them up, but I think we're actually in an age where people are starting to become demoralized. They're actually starting to believe things that are not true, and that's a big problem for things that could be coming in the future.
Yeah, Shane Cashman calls it post-reality, and it's like we're in an era right now where we were actually talking about this at that Bible study over at Matt's house when he had that group of young kids with him, and it was this idea about like AI. And
yeah, we were asking them because like they're growing up. Oh, there we go.
There he is. There's Broken. Broken he is upset. Just draw some attention to the chat.
Well, let's talk with Broken for a second.
Yeah, we had to block you from things because you're spazzing out, and then we block you from a thing, and then you're spazzing out on the remaining platforms. Broken.
Yeah, listen, dude. How many emails could you realistically make? Just chill out, enjoy the show.
It's gonna be all right, Broken.
We were talking
if you behave, we'll unblock you.
We were talking to high school kids, and I'm like, you're growing up during the age of AI. How can you are you differentiating meaningfully between that's real? Because I'm having a little bit of a rough time, and I wonder how their eyes are adjusting. We know the boomer eye is.
It's not adjusting.
It's not.
The aperture is wide open, and it's taking in all things.
Well, look at the generations. I think the young generations were actually enjoying those things that were happening, right? Those theories that were being posted on the internet. The guy that was giving the face signals, then the other guy that did his shoulder sleeve, then the guy in front that actually might have hit him with a pen gun or something.
That was crazy.
That's kind of crazy, right? But I think the young generation is really cleaving to that kind of stuff rather than our generation that is like, we've seen this before. We kind of understand this is all, a lot of mumbo jumbo, a lot of mix up, a lot of content. Yeah. Right. People are grifting off of things nowadays just for views rather than necessarily telling the truth or having like a real foundational theory of some sort.
Yeah. Well, the kids were saying that they could, they can kind of discern, like, oh, you could tell when something's AI. And I was having this conversation with my son the other day as well, just yesterday, and he's going like, yeah, you can hear, let's say on like YouTube Shorts, when it's AI, they will always say something like, if you want the puppy to find its owner, be sure to like and subscribe. And he's like, and that's how I can tell when it's AI. And I'm like, that's the giveaway for you. But that's only right now, because 1 year ago, it was very easy to tell when a video was AI. And right now, I've been gotten maybe 2 or 3 times. The David Grush congressional hearing on the Miami Mall thing had me for a second as I'm watching it. You and I were watching it, and I'm going, I think we were watching on the show, and I said, no. If this was real, I would have seen news about this. This wouldn't have just come out in a vacuum, and all of a sudden I'm seeing this clip for the first time.
It was also phrased it's exactly how you'd want it. Like we did the Nephilim News Network here. That's why the green screen's up.
Oh yeah.
And we phrased it very obvious because we're like, we don't want you to think that this is real.
Which some people might They might think it's real. Thank you, El Dorado, says Commander David Fravor. Right. And so yeah, it hit all the boxes for you, right? As far as like something that you'd want to believe is real, but I just didn't see that in the news cycle, and I said this is very strange. But otherwise, the mouth was synced up to the audio. The audio was in his voice, and the video was real. It was just on a completely different topic. It was a video from way back in the day about the Tic Tac UFO, and so. That was a clever set of circumstances that allowed for a really good deception to take place. 6 months from now, and this is what we were talking about with Matt, I think the only thing that you're going to have on your side is discernment, the Holy Spirit, because it is going to be damn near impossible.
Yeah.
What are you going to have? You're going to have AI where you're going to go, hey, AI, is this AI generated? You know what I mean? You're going to go to Grok, you're going to go to some AI, and you're going to say, is this real?
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that there's a time coming soon, or maybe, at some point in the future, to where we're going to end up telling ourselves, okay, I'm just done with social media because it's just so mixed up. I don't want to be on it anymore, because you don't want to be deceived in any sort of way. What about the big, beautiful bill, right? Which this had, over 4,000, 5,000 pages. I mean, probably even more than that, but where they included in this bill that corporations, businesses, and other platforms that are actually being able to post artificial intelligence or using artificial intelligence to create content, that there's no set of rules that need to revolve around these things, that necessarily there's no disclaimer that needs to be put on some of these videos, right? Which, if you think about artificial intelligence and how it's actually creating content, not only music, not only podcasts now, but now videos. No, dude, it's creating content. A podcast. I was listening to one on the way here just to get a story about, this alien cult that I'm kind of studying at the moment. But, I think there needs to be disclaimers, but they don't want that.
Wait, you were listening to an AI podcast about?
I didn't I didn't initially choose it because it was AI, but when I started listening to it, I was like, this is AI.
Yeah.
This is artificial with ads, by the way. I'm like, was the AI making money? Well, I'm just kidding. But someone's easily, putting in a prompt, putting in a paragraph, or even just saying, hey, do a 30-minute show on this topic. Boom. And now this is how people are making money.
Is it that simple too?
Yeah.
Just tell it like, hey, do a 30-minute show. And it's kind of interesting, the way that you listen to podcasts is often passively, like you're doing a thing while you're listening. So you might not.
Yeah.
If it gets good enough, you won't be able to,
Well, that's what I'm saying. 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. And that's just a random number I'm putting out there. But just given the speed of things, I think it's a fair, and it might even be conservative. We might see that come to pass a lot sooner than that. I would imagine they probably already have the technology for that sort of a thing. We, the public, are not at the cutting edge of artificial intelligence technology. We've gotten this like kind of childlike version that gets rolled out to the masses, right? Like it's not with all of its apparatus, but there probably already exist. Some people think that the QAnon situation was actually artificial intelligence, or at least artificial intelligence adjacent, meaning it's like an individual, but most of it is spurred on by an advanced AI. And I could kind of like, if you ask Grok, like, I was asking actually ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, I was talking about the 3-eye atlas thing, and I was saying, what are the statistical likelihoods that this thing is going to do what they're claiming? I mean, and Anna Paulina Luna and Avi Loeb are saying, well, it's hostile. Halloween Eve, it's going to pass between us and the sun. It's going to release drones. Sometime in November, it's going to be here, or December, it's going to be here.
This is David's favorite thing.
It's really one of my favorite things right now. And and it goes like statistically very low. And I go, fair, steelman it. And then if you watch it steelman it, you're like, oh man, if you had this and then you put it out as a LARP, like an what is it, like a IRL RPG? I don't know what the terminology is, but that's what some people think that QAnon was. Like Project Cicada. So Project Cicada was like it was like a game that they released to the public, and it was an interactive one where there were like real life elements. And so it was like, who's disseminating this information? They're talking about real places, real events, real people. And then everybody starts to, once the internet sleuths get a hold of it, they start to pick it apart, and it becomes like this interactive, community driven game of Clue. And so some people think that that's what QAnon was, but it's also like Project, what's it? I forget, but it's like a pacifist thing, like pacifying patriots across the thing, and Operation Truth, I think it is, whatever it is. So anyway, if you took this thing that I told it to steal, man, and you release that cryptically to the public, people would look at that and then they would find correlating evidence from the New York Post articles to what, Representative Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna is saying, the Jewish scientist is saying, all these different things, NASA, and you would have this crossover into reality. And it would be really, really hard to try to pick that apart and say that that's not really what's happening.
Right. The thing with the with Atlas, right? 3i Atlas, it's very interesting because I had Jeremy Slade on the show the other day, right? He's a Roman Empire expert.
Yeah,
he does a great job
Jeremy,
talking about that stuff. He actually brought up this. He's like, history, because I'm like a history repeats itself kind of guy, especially in the medical field. This is a term that we throw around a lot because this is just, you have one problem in the health category. It's going to end up happening again at some point in your lifetime until things just get worse in that way. But pertaining to him, he was saying that, history doesn't repeat itself, but yet it rhymes. And so I was like, okay. And then we got into the conversation of Augustus talking about how he used propaganda and a big story to manipulate the people, talking about that this comet that was flying through the sky was actually Julius Caesar and his deification process, going in, becoming a god with the stars and all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
they convinced.
it made me think. I was like, okay, if history rhymes, right? And we're seeing something similar, because it's not just 3i Atlas, it's also Apophis in 2027 or 2029. If that thing kind of enters the keyhole, which they talk about, and it'll enter into our visual perception of this thing in the sky, what is the world now going to tell us with this big idea? Right? I'm expecting a lot of propaganda to come from it. And when you're actually thinking about like the deification process, it's like, okay, well, is this something that might pertain to like the Antichrist? Or is this something, because I'm always trying to bring things to the Bible. I know the world wants to go to a one world government, currency, and religion. There's so many things out there. There's a web of things that are bringing people into that concept, involuntary and ignorantly. People are getting gravitated to this idea if they believe in it or not. And I'm just trying to stay on my P's and Q's of, what is this to look like? Like, for example, the Charlie Kirk thing. It's a really terrible incident, and that guy got hit in the carotid artery like if I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy got hit directly in the artery. And if anything, I even said it took his spine out because you saw him posturing. He went, I think it's decorticate, where you kind of go in. That means basically like spinal cord shot immediately.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Does this bullet, does that go through the spinal cord, or like, does this just get stuck in his body?
Is that a 7.62 or a 5.56?
This is a 306.
So now he's getting into this.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
It's huge.
This idea of magic bullet theory
at 200 yards.
No, so we talked about it at the department, right? And a lot of the guys at the department are hunters, and they've actually shot that round specifically, and they've blown jaw bones off of pigs, and they've actually blown 4-inch gaps, as an exit wound, right? Through almost 2 feet of mass. So, and that's another thing too. I don't know what to think of it. It's a very interesting concept. The thing that really got me most with the Charlie Kirk thing was the medical protocol that they lacked to have in that situation. Usually when you think of events like this, where it could be high stress, it could be the possibility of someone hurting someone, right? There's a lot of schism, or there's like a lot of confrontation that goes on at these kind of events. You would only think that violence would erupt out of it. So why wouldn't you have an ambulance on standby? Why wouldn't you even just have EMS on standby with a couple of bags, to where they can respond immediately and then call in resources after the fact? But
what are you saying?
I'm saying that why was there no medical staff on scene to treat him immediately, but yet we could send medical staff to a high school football game, which is like poorly funded by the way, and all that kind of stuff.
They're always there. That's it. I mean, to bring it all the way back to our inception of the show, the idea Nephilim, the Miami Mole Nephilim incident, one of my cousins noticed that in the conga line of response vehicles to the Miami Mall incident it was only cops.
Hundreds, but only cops.
And he's a firefighter as well in South Florida. And he said, in this conga line should be emergency vehicles like ambulances, not there. And he says, and also fire department. They respond, they call for something and like this, like, why is the fire department here?
Yeah.
They show up to whatever's going on. It's just cops. And then they create a perimeter, they shut it down. So it's like, well, this is an op. This is an event that we don't really know what's happening here. Then people are reporting all kinds of crazy stuff. It's insane. And now we have that with the Charlie Kirk thing. It's just cops there. There's no emergency response vehicles, like actual emergency response, not an ambulance.
And if
inside.
that's
It's
not
weird.
strange enough, they're like eliminating the scene. They've eliminated it. They've reduced it down to nothing, right? Like, what do? They basically bulldoze the spot where it happened, and they got rid of everything. And it's like,
they replaced it with pavers and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, they
very
the whole
strange.
site.
Very strange. And now, yeah, for whatever reason, and it seems like just given the response of the public that it at the bare minimum it was short-sighted. But if not, it makes me think, like, why at all offer up to the people this idea that he suddenly displayed superhuman attributes and kept this round from going through his body, and they're calling him Superman, right? Like, that's the thing now, and it's like, and it doesn't seem that anybody's buying it. I'm like, why? How does this help you at all to even roll this out? This whole thing is like, whether or not he was killed for a nefarious plot, you could at the very least say no good tragedy goes unleveraged. I'm sure I forget what the actual was. I'm paraphrasing that, but it's like this idea that when something happens, there's all this opportunity within it. And right now it seems that the big opportunity, among many things like strengthening the race war, creating civil strife, civil unrest, whatever, really kind of waking up white people in a huge way. The other thing is like this Christian nationalism that seems to be emerging. And our pastor, shout out Pastor Rick, he's talking about maybe it's time. God uses all things. We could be seeing a revival. And I like that. But then I also go, a revival of what, though? Because it seems to me like a lot of people are galvanizing to this moment and to a version of Christianity that solely exists to kind of push back against this culture and this ideology that we've been subjected to for the past decade. And is that really Christianity if you're just adhering to it to stick your nose up at something that you don't like? It's like you weren't before. Now you're going to be. I'm becoming Christian because of Charlie Kirk. And it's like, well, why weren't you before? And what is it that you think you're becoming? Maybe you're right. I don't know. But I imagine within that, a lot of people are wrong. A lot of people think really what they're just doing is picking a side. I'm on this side now. And this side is in opposition to the left. It's in opposition to the LGBT community. It's in opposition to children. It's in opposition to, liberal, all these things. Is that what Christianity is? Is it just in opposition to these things, or is it something more? And are they catching that? So it feels really strange.
I feel like what we're seeing is Christianity for some reason is becoming mainstream, but then we're not like of the world. But I see a worldly grip grasping onto Christianity for some reason, right? And just to kind of put it in perspective, like, I'm not saying there isn't revival. I'm not saying people aren't getting saved. I'm not saying that people are using or their reaction to the Charlie Kirk incident is not helping them get closer to God. What I'm saying is I think that the devil is facading himself in Christianity, and he's always been doing that. The devil was in the Garden of Eden. The devil was, influencing the Pharisees. The devil has been in the group of God's people this entire time. And so with Christianity becoming as mainstream as it is, like our road is not to be wide. I don't think our road is meant to be where everyone is going down to it.
Yeah.
I think we have a narrow road. I think we have a remnant road. I think that there will be an elect, that I think there will be a small amount that will actually have the true faith, which is, you know, very interesting to think of. But why, like, how would there be, especially in the end times, right? Before the man of sin is revealed, you know, there will be a great falling away. So when there's a great falling away, that actually means that a lot of people are going to turn from the actual true faith of Christianity towards something else. Maybe it could be a different style of Christianity, or maybe it could be a whole different idea of it. And
We've got like 10,000 styles of Christianity. So
It's true.
right.
it's like,
right.
well, what's one more? And I mean, to pack onto that idea, I'm gonna let you finish. It's just when I see Joe Rogan becoming like more sympathetic to the idea of Christianity, and even like I get like, you know, Tucker Carlson, these guys, and it's like, who am I to say that they're beyond redemption or they're
Sure. Yeah.
beyond finding this? I just become a little suspicious. I'm like, why now?
Mhm.
And what are you pointing at? What are you pointing everybody towards? I started to take like a little bit of a step back.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I know we talked about it on the last episode we just did, but it's something that I'm going to go ahead and repeat because we've been talking about it for a really long time. All the noticing and the pendulum swinging. We said that it was going to swing back. We said it was going to be crazier than before. We also said that the whole conversation surrounding, just based off of the arc of trends that I observed, is that this is going to end up at the dinner table. It is not going to be in a obscure forum like a 4chan or something like that, like back in the day. And then it's not just going to be relegated to Twitter or X, where Elon takes over and it's this rarity. And so all this, like what was perceived as hate speech, is allowed to take place on X. It's going to leave X. It's going to bleed into the other ones that are supposed to be safer, your metas, right? Facebook, Instagram. And then ultimately it's coming to your dinner table. And you have the death of Charlie Kirk. The whole world stops and watches. And then what ends up happening is Tucker Carlson, he gets up there and he talks about how much of a pain in the ass, you know, essentially Jesus was for the Pharisees, and that they eventually came up with the genius idea to say, hey, why don't we kill this guy? It's like you're standing at the funeral or the memorial, whatever this is, of Charlie Kirk, and you're drawing this likeness of Charlie being silenced to Jesus being silenced by the Pharisees. Which is to say, what? You think Tucker Carlson's not aware that the overwhelming theory regarding Charlie's death is that Israel did it?
It's and again, like I've had Ben Baumgarten on the show, and he hosts the End of the World News podcast. Love that guy.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he talks about that. You know, this is a manufactured story. This is a manufactured thing where they want this information to get out. They want the narrative to look like
That's how it
Israel
feels.
did this. And really, if you look at it through all the different cultures and all the different countries around the world, you know, Charlie Kirk made such an impact. But I think a lot of that is manipulation of the emotions of people and the virality of the video that went out there. Like that video, first of all, I believe should have never hit the internet. I think it should have been censored. It was
There was no way, though.
graphic.
You were never going to catch that, dude. It was like, it was off to the races.
But they can censor anything that they want, right?
That's true.
And so I think it was purposely allowed to be on the platform for a certain amount of time. If you go try and look up the video now, it's still there, but it's kind of harder to find. Right?
I would say you're right. There was no effort made to censor it, take it down.
Yeah.
There were people calling for, so I've heard that sentiment, and someone said, no, I think this should stay online. I want people to see it. I want there to be a reaction. And they were very honest with their, I mean, but part of me is kind of like, well, if that is your main goal, yeah, you do want people to see. Like if I want people to galvanize towards one direction or the other, I want them to see this. I want you to be angry. I want you to be
In fact, maybe I'll hold on to a video of a black dude stabbing a Ukrainian chick in the neck on a train for 2 weeks before I let it loose.
Yeah.
Maybe I want you to see this, and maybe I'll even do it in a teaser trailer kind of fashion, where you get the stabbing and you go, wait, what happened before? What happened after? And then all of a sudden we release what happened before and what happened after.
Yeah.
But we let it stew for a little bit. It's like that. Those two moments, whether or not they were orchestrated, the actual event, it does feel like the release of them to the public eye was done in
I think the reaction was manipulated 100%.
Mm.
And I think that way because, well, and I think two things. I think the problem, reaction, solution Hegelian dialect is something that is used as a protocol to get things pushed forward that the people wouldn't necessarily consent to immediately. So the people then go ahead and they actually are voluntarily wanting what the government has had in plan the entire time. They're asking for it. But when you actually, there's a second area of this, right? That includes death. And death is something that's very interesting, especially just being in my field of work. There's 5 stages of death, right? And, you know, denial, anger, so on and so forth. People go look it up. I can't remember it. But when that is actually used to manipulate the reaction, it's a lot stronger than anything else, right? And I think I even turned to my friend when I saw the Charlie Kirk thing happening on the internet. It impacted me, and I've dealt with bleeds like that a few times in my career, and they're pretty gnarly. But when I saw the video, it impacted me way more emotionally than I've ever been impacted before in my life. And I told my friend, I said, listen, I said, this is another 9/11 event. I had the same kind of, not as a sickening and eerie feeling or gut twisting feeling, right?
Heavy.
But when me and my buddy were, this is back in 2019, this is around October, we're both sitting in the ready room, you know, we're at work and we're talking, and I'm on Facebook, he's on Facebook, and he goes, do you see what I see? And I look and I'm like, something big is coming. And this is when actually China was starting to build their, you know, quarantine camps.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the outbreak was in China, isolated at first. And he turned to me and he looked at me and he said, this is another 9/11 event. So with that thought, you know, in general, something is coming out of this. I just don't think we've necessarily given it enough time to see what it is yet, but we are seeing something moving, and it seems to be like a religious thing. It seems to be like a contemporary Christian movement that's coming out of this. And so I'm wondering if I'm cautious of it. Again, I'm all for people, you know, enjoying being brought to the faith through this process and all of this. I'm not shooting any of that down, but I think something is happening with this movement. You know, I mean, there's 300,000 people at the funeral, right?
Yeah.
There's people there that we know do not believe what we believe.
Well, that
100%.
is a lot of the problem. Is I'm watching this thing happen where so there's a guy, this is the example that I've been given. There's a guy named goes by Hermes on, which is interesting because I think Hermes is like also kind of a trickster god, right? So it's an apt name to choose, but he's this white nationalist and grows to popularity pretty quickly on Twitter X, as far as I can tell, which maybe is unfair. Maybe I didn't see the rise, but either way, he makes a tweet one day, puts him on my radar, says, for the sake of the white race, pagans and Christians need to put their differences aside and come together. And I go, no. What? Pagans and Christians need to get, the pagans can renounce their paganism and you know, follow Christ. That's cool. I like that. That's not what he's saying. Put your differences aside. It's like there are no differences. There's a fundamental principle of existence, and it is believing in Jesus Christ and that this is the narrow way, the way, the truth, and the life, or worshiping fallen lowercase creation, period. Worshiping creation versus creator. And so I go, that's weird. Puts him on my radar. Then all of a sudden I see that guy, Death of Charlie Kirk, and he organizes a White Lives Matter rally in Miami. I go, huh. So
you know what's funny? Hold on.
I got to breathe.
When I was a kid, one of the most profound dreams that I've had, like right before I asked to stop having them, was seeing Jesus in Jerusalem sitting on the donkey, even like accurately too, like they sit sideways on the donkey, as is like tradition when the Messiah enters through those gates. I didn't even know these things, but I did see it, and I'm like one of the kids in the crowd from that perspective. I remember telling the pastor at the time and my mom, and I'm like, I saw him, I saw the whole thing. They're singing Hosanna, they're throwing palms, but it wasn't Jesus. And they're like, how do you know? And I said, I don't know. but it wasn't. I know that it wasn't. I don't know how. I don't know.
It's trippy.
It's trippy. And they were like, my mom was like, oh wow, like I had a lot of dreams like that, but like that was the main one that sticks out. And I think it's a dream of discernment. It means nothing at the time. I was like 12, something like that. But now that we're talking about the rise of this the false Christianity, it starts like, I don't know, it just gets me thinking about that.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Don't ever do that again.
In my house. In my house.
in my house, of all places.
But when you think of like the Albert Pike letters, and okay, if they're real, if they're not, they're most likely probably not real. But my goodness, are they pretty accurate? And in the third letter, he talks about the Luciferian doctrine coming in out of the Third World War, which will destroy Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, right? And what I see out of that, because Catholicism's in that as well, not in the letter, but in the Christianity aspect of it, you're going to see the world have this concept of theosophy that wraps up everything into this new mystery Babylon, this whole new religion, right? And so if you think of it tactically, right? If you think of it from Satan's point of view, which he's a tactical chief, he knows exactly what he's doing. If there is this idea of a false Christianity, and he's casting out a net and he's catching all of these fish, right? Wouldn't it make more of the people have more apostasy when this idea of a third world war and this Luciferian doctrine and this whole new world order Gnosticism comes into play, right?
Well, I mean,
I'm saying from a tactical point of view, he's gaining more souls.
And speaking from a tactical point of view, if you wanted to put out something that was going to trick Christians, it would have to bear quite the resemblance to Christianity. You'd have to have, it would have to look a lot like it.
The Great Deception doesn't make sense if it's that easy to see through.
And that's a lot of where I'm at, where it's like, I am somebody who's been pursuing the truth for all of my meaningful life, and outside of my childhood, and I'm constantly struck with this idea that it's like, no, that's not it. Like this is going to be big enough that I'm not going to see it coming.
They're talking about Peter Thiel. He looks just like the bad guy in a movie. It's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be like tricked by the looking dude with clearly no soul.
Yeah,
that's the Antichrist that's going to fool me.
Here's something that I do think is a clever trick. If this is, and I know it's like a painful thing to speculate about the nature of what we're watching because a man just died and his wife is grieving, but I don't give a shit. That's what we do on this show. So I'm looking at his wife, and she is saying that she forgives the young man who killed Charlie Kirk, which I believe is the right thing. You have to, like we said on the previous show, not for the young man, but for herself. Also, it's like, if you can forgive, then, because you can't look to God and expect forgiveness if you can't forgive other people. But it's also like, for the weight of that thing that you're carrying, that's also corrosive. It's an acidic stone on your back to burn through you. If you leave that thing on your back, it'll torment you to the end of your days. You have to relinquish it. You have to let it go. You have to forgive and move on. But what I've seen is, like, I don't know, because of the character of his wife, because of some of the conspiracy speculative elements about his wife, she's like coming from Donald Trump's modeling agency or whatever, all these years ago. There's like a lot of shady kind of things. When she says it, it is like poison in people's mouths, and they reject it and they spit it out. And so I'm looking at Twitter, and the overwhelming sentiment, even from people that I like, are going like, no, wrong. Forgiveness is not the way. I mean, this is one of the most important tenets of Christianity. And it's just like, if you expand on this idea of like,
there's like, I mean, yeah, Joel Webbin, he's like that. I want to have him on the show, but I think he thinks he's too big for it. He's probably correct, actually. Yeah. You know what? Never mind. Whole point. No, no, he's saying that he's very much of this, like, it almost feels like vengeance in a way, like justifiable vengeance. And
that's what this is, right? The sentiment you're saying.
I kind of want to agree with him, but I also tweeted,
but he won't come on the show.
Well, no, but I agree with the point of forgiveness, but I put up a tweet that it's a guillotine, and it says, yeah, I forgive you, but like, yeah, you still got to go. I think that there is something strong and palpable. Although, listen, maybe I'm headed in the wrong direction too, but you can't let your enemies, the evil, actually persist in this way. It's like there's got to be a strong and decisive answer for this. It's like, I forgive you, but that's honestly for me.
Yeah. So I saw somebody talking about forgiveness today, and that's an important thing. It's like trying to define what is meant when it talks about forgiveness. And to me, it's like, okay, you know, mercy is one of the tenets of being a Christian, right? But like, in order to be able to show mercy, you have to be capable of winning and then dialing it back. You know what I mean? And so it's like at what point does self-mastery come into this thing?
At what point does that get out of control? This is the problem, because once you start cutting heads off, the fun, you know.
But I don't know if the fun
don't stop.
Once you drop, the fun don't stop.
It's a dangerous precedent to set. But absolutely, if you could find the person that did this thing, which is again, who knows,
you can find
see,
that's the thing though. If you could find the individual who did this thing and enact justice, then I think that should be done.
That is
if
justice.
You will then mobilize against an entire ideology and galvanize yourself to a principle that isn't in alignment with that, then this spirit, the opposite of forgiveness, I guess maybe it is vengeance, is corrupting you. So
this is what we dealt with on a very minor level. And it corrupts, not just corrupts, but it's like straight up poison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess that is, to me, that kind of is the thing. It's like, let's say they find the guy who did it and, you know, he gets sentenced. And let's say it's even like a really gruesome one. It's a public, we haven't seen like a public execution in this country in how long since Saddam Hussein was hung, probably, right? So it would be like really a big deal, but it would not satisfy that spirit that is gripping the nation right now. That spirit that's gripping the nation right now is vengeance. They want what has been due to them. And I understand that it's very tempting for the past decade of all this liberal, more than a decade, sure, but like it's been potent in the last decade, right? Even more so in the last 5 years, exponentially as we get closer to this time, it has gotten worse. So you persecute this man or persecute him, you justifiably enact you know, whatever, but punishment, it does not satisfy that spirit. So to me right there, that's an important delineation. It's highlighting where this energy is coming from. If you caught this guy and he was publicly hung, how many people would still, after it was done and his body stopped twitching, go, but what are we going to do about these people?
I think that opens up a whole can of worms that we don't want to be open.
I've asked that question too.
You know, like there's a thing that I've heard too, like righteous anger, and then like all this righteous stuff where people of Christ are like starting to normalize the idea of taking vengeance on other people. You know, the Bible says that we should let, you know, every man has his liberty, right? You know, if this is what they want to do, then go ahead. But you know, not pertaining to like, you know, people and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is we're all sinners. Like we're all on it. You know, Jesus preaches a lot. Don't be hypocrites.
Yeah.
You know, in a way, you know, he's like, hey, don't, you know, he without sin cast the first stone. And then we're over here just people. With the, I'm just saying that whole concept. If we do that, you know, we're gonna. What does that say for people like us in the future who won't comply with your mainstream ideology? You know.
Well, the reality is that's the starting point for the opposite side, for you and for me. I guess the question back to you would be, why don't we start there? Because that's how they're going to judge us. And again, it's not our place though. I think you're right. We shouldn't be doing that thing, but
right.
Well,
right.
I see a lot of people.
Luke has, you know, prophesied about this, and this is where, you know, Matthew 24, the whole concept of Matthew 24 and these birth pains and all this, like there's going to be commotion. It's so funny how the book of Matthew actually uses the word commotion rather than you know, all the other books, because I think each gospel has its own window of how things look, but it's all one big picture, right? And so I think the wrestling against the left and the right is all fabricated.
Yeah,
I think it's too. I think Satan really wants us to go to war with each other so that he can come in
Yeah.
and then bring peace to the earth.
I think
right?
it's that, to me, that seems obvious, glaringly obvious.
And I think these people believe that they need this to happen in order to bring a new golden age, in order to bring in new peace, right? I
Mhm.
even think that these people believe in these, like these elites and all of this. I think they have a higher connection with these, the same ideas as some of these alien cult leaders.
Yeah.
I think that they want the Elohim to come back.
Yeah.
I think the Elohim has, if you ever listen to Alex Jones, he's like, these people, they're having meetings with intergalactic,
Interdimensional child
interdimensional,
molesters.
yeah. And you know what? He was even talking about, they were looking into little Palantir balls, before we even knew what Palantir was.
Right.
And so my thing is, if they have this idea, if they are talking to these entities, and these entities are actually telling them, hey, you guys need, before our coming back, right, you need to make peace on the earth. But the only way to do that is to make order out of chaos. And so I think they're instigating the chaos so that they can, move in their own little prophetic idea.
I do want to say too, for the audience sake, it's like for me, it is very easy to sit here and to explore these ideas of like, is this Hegelian dialectic? Yes. Is this the reaction that they want? Yes. Scripturally speaking, should we be seeking vengeance? No. You kill my wife, you kill my son, I'm going to kill you. And that's I'm not better than the people in the
We
chat.
should actually get off YouTube. But yes, you're
right. Well, I mean, that's the hard thing. It's like I can sit here and philosophically pick these apart, and I also know what's right and scripturally speaking, but maybe when I'm faced with the moment, I would be able to let that go and to just say, because I've seen people do that. You see like a courtroom case where a father is grieving over the death of a child and then looks the killer in the eyes and says, I forgive you. And it's like, you can tell when that happens, how unbelievably powerful that is. The killer weeps, the father weeps, everybody in the courtroom weeps, and you get this feeling of like, no, this is correct, because it's the hardest thing to do in that moment.
Well, because time travel isn't real, Matt.
That's right. Well, yeah,
and
time
now
travel
we're dealing with the forward. Let's get off YouTube.
Guys, if you are wanting to continue watching this, patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad. Otherwise, give it about a week or so and it will release in its entirety. But goodbye, poor people. Goodbye, poor people. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because it's easy, sitting in these luxurious leather chairs, very supple, in this wonderful, sprawling, what would you call this room?
This is an office, David.
It's easy to say that here. But yeah, I don't know that I would maintain that. I don't know what that's like to have that happen to you. And so, I'd be asking for forgiveness.
I was going to say there's precedent. I mean, there's precedent in the Bible. Just Elijah with the prophets of Baal, right? He killed like 300 of them, dude.
Yeah.
It's not a.
Well, then they say, but that's not the New Testament, the arrival of Christ. None of that's necessary anymore. That's not called for after Jesus. We're not called to do that anymore. And I go back and forth about that because a lot of people, you point to the Old Testament, it's like God called you to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, not anymore, though. Not with the new covenant, that's done. And so I don't know. I just know that, like I said, it's very easy to talk that here. If this is not some weird form of theater, which, she's doing a thing. A lot of people got upset. Somebody tagged me. Shout out to R.E. Peter, I think is his name on Twitter. And Charlie Kirk's wife, she raises like the sign language symbol for I love you, which is, to me, it's peculiar because I'm just like, I've never thought about doing sign language once in my life.
Maybe they do it.
Maybe they do it. But then you have this guy, Politics is Masonic Theater, who's another account that I like, and he always comes.
Yeah, you like him?
I like him. He's great. He's just got a thing about him. There's kind of an alignment of ideas there, and he says that that actually derived from Helen Keller, who was a Luciferian, and he goes and he shows you, yeah, and it's like, but he's got all the receipts. He's got all this crap, and I'm like, wow, it seems glaringly obvious that Helen Keller was like some part of a psychological operation, but also was a Luciferian. But she flew a plane, dude. even though she's, you know, blind and deaf and all this other crap.
Helen Keller was the Stephen Hawking of our time.
100%.
Well,
100%.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things in our world today that become normalized to culture in the opposite way of what they actually mean, right? So, for example, the "I love you," you know,
I don't want to do it. Don't look at my hands. I don't want to do it.
I'm not.
Don't
When
look at
he
me to
said
do
I don't
it.
want to do it.
I did
right?
it. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know. I was like,
no,
oh,
yeah.
okay, it's trying to, you know, but just me as a Christian, you know,
Yeah.
it's something I wouldn't do because I feel like there would be other people that would see what I'm doing.
Of course
and
you would think that, right?
And then go, okay, hold on a second. That's people are gonna, you know, spewed out some sort of story and disconnect the truth here and all this kind of stuff. But my thing is they did it, right? And so with that symbol, they've normalized it in the culture as "I love you," right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like the peace sign. The peace sign is actually an inverted cross with the arms broken down,
Oh, that's interesting.
right? Which actually comes from a lot of roots of, you know, mysticism, esotericism, Luciferianism, all this kind of stuff, where it comes from ritual practice. Again, all this stuff roots for the team that we don't subscribe to.
I always think it's weird that we've been even like, why is there such a, given the small percentage of deaf people, mutes in America, why is there such an emphasis on sign language, and why is it such a sort of what would you call it? Like it's a badge of honor to teach your child. Like my child learned sign language from a very early age, and it's like to communicate with. I've never met a single person actually that I've interacted with that I could ever have used sign language with, but it is a badge of honor.
it's so
and it's
uncommon.
culturally ingrained.
It's so uncommon that lady got away with it as like her job. For you remember the lady that was
the translators that would be next to like Biden, and she's just throwing up like gang signs, and people are looking at it and they're like, that's not even true. That's not even accurate sign language.
It's been 15 years. She was about to retire.
She almost made it.
Almost made it. And someone was like, hold on a second.
That's not sign language, not even a little bit. She's like, that's not.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? That's
Not even a little bit.
not even remotely. So I'm like, why is that even a thing culturally? Because it is a culturally significant thing. Sign language somehow is something that you'll end up talking about more often than you will ever bump into somebody who it's relevant to communicating with. And it is a little bit of a badge of honor if you can. I have met several parents that are like, oh, we're teaching them sign language. Just like, for what? For why? What are you teaching them sign language for? I don't understand that. It's just strange.
Steven's like, I'm teaching my kids.
Steven's like, I actually know sign language.
My wife, Brittany, stop.
Don't let her watch this episode.
Yeah.
That's just weird to me. I don't know. Because now that we're exploring it, that symbol, that hand gesture of "I love you" is commonly dismissed as being I love you. But I'm like, it's not even ever relevant.
Yeah, it's
Like when they do it at music things, right? They're like they do it at a music show.
I don't know. I say I want to do it so bad.
And you go, hey,
you know,
they can't listen to music.
Yeah, they've turned it into an egregore.
Yeah.
They've turned it into something like as similar as Christmas or Halloween. Even like Antoine LaVey, he's even discussed that, you know, even though you may not do the holiday or this or that, and you're a Christian or whatever, at least your kids will at least one time in every year, they will be worshiping the dark side or the devil or whatever it is. You know, it's like this, the devil works the best in ignorance. You know what I'm saying? So it's all tough stuff, man. And I personally think I'm gonna keep my eyes open, because I think with this,
for mutes and deaf people,
well,
I never see them, dude.
I'm just worried about what's coming. I don't know. I smell something in the air.
Yeah.
I feel it in my backbone, and
it's the rapture, Stephen. Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the rapture.
Tonight, actually.
You have a keen sense of smell and backbone because it's tomorrow.
Now, I don't know what you guys believe, but
Yeah.
I'm not a pre-tribulation rapture guy. I offer both things on the table. I offer all ideas, even the little season stuff, right? It's just I have to subscribe to something a little bit more than all of the things. And
we go all the things. We go pre, mid, and post.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Well, I'll tell you this. I have a very interesting story, and this happened 2 or 3 weeks after I got saved. When I got saved, it was a supernatural experience. I can't explain it. There was you actually want me to tell you the story?
I would love to know.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, please.
So my buddy Scott is my best friend. He dealt with a lot of drugs. We're in our senior year of high school. He was doing Xanax, weed, all kinds of stuff, right? And he got to the point to where it was overtaking his life. He was getting in trouble with the law all this stuff. His family was a Christian family. It wasn't a dominant authority in the household, but at some point his dad went, and his dad was a cop, went to the courts, got a court order to get his kids sent out of his home, right, and sent in a teen challenge. So my buddy basically
teen challenge.
Teen challenge
Yeah,
is a place that's, you know, in many different areas of Florida, and it's a Christian.
It's in New
boot
York
camp.
too.
Oh, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right on.
I just
So
went to
people-
Scared. They just sent me to Scared Street.
It's like it's Christian Scared Street, but not.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he woke up one morning, and there was just two big guys grabbed him out of his bed, threw him in the back of a van.
Oh, it's like that.
Oh, it's like that. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. It was either that or he's getting arrested and getting locked up. So he went to Teen Challenge. I went to school, you know, and was like, my best friend was disappeared. I mean, like a vapor, gone.
Wow.
Didn't know where he went. Then I obviously got the story that he went to Teen Challenge. Anyways, 6 months later, he came home on a 48-hour pass. He came home and he was completely different. I remember walking through the front door to go visit him in his room and see him. His dad was throwing a welcome home party, all this kind of stuff. Again, he was on a 48-hour pass, so that's all the time he had to be there. So while I'm there, I'm talking with him. He's kind of got a little guitar in his lap, and he's just kind of just like a totally different person.
Like
I'm
kind of
"What?"
spaced out. Like
No, he's a newborn Christian, and so I just felt the
Oh.
vibe that there was just light coming off him, man. I couldn't explain it. You know, he went from being a dirty drug user to now he's like this guy talking about Jesus.
nice.
So yeah, so it like caught my attention. I started asking him, you know, what's the whole story about? Like, what is being saved? He told me everything. He told me that we're a dirty sinner, that basically we need a savior.
People don't
and
like that, man.
they-
People
they-
don't like being like,
yeah.
oh, we're just sinners. We just start out like
How'd
that.
you
It's like,
feel
kinda like,
about it?
Well, I tell you what, I felt convicted. I just felt convicted. But I tell you what, there was a war going on over my soul. And it was almost like an angel here on my shoulder and the devil over here. There was a whisper coming in and saying, no, that's nonsense. When you leave here, you want to go buy a bag of bud and go ahead and do your thing. And then over here, it was like, you need this or you're going to die. And I was like, everyone's going to die. I didn't realize it was the second death that this other voice was telling me about. And so he offered, you know, Scotty offered me to go to church that night. And so I was like, okay, I'll go to church. I'll give it a try. Went there, felt like the pastor was directly talking to me. It was very interesting. Everything that he was kind of going through, it was just showing a lot of highlights of what was taking place in my life. And so at the end of that service, I truly prayed that prayer. I literally let Jesus in my heart to take all the sins away from me. And I mean, right after that, I got baptized in front of 5,000 people. It was kind of like crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So got baptized, went home, drove home in a wet outfit.
Didn't think that
Well, they
through,
gave
huh?
me a shirt. They gave me a shirt. The church did.
I always
like
wondered
I-
how that
I
process.
got
actually worked out.
baptized and all I got was this wet shirt.
Yeah.
yeah.
All I got
right?
was this
They
stain on
shook
my
your hand
seat.
and then they send you off, right? No, so I'm driving home and I'm like, it was so funny because my mind was already starting to be renewed. It was already starting to change. So I go home. My mom greets me at the front door. I give her a hug. I cry. I say, Mom, I got saved. You need to get saved. I was like, we all need to get saved. Jesus Christ is the truth. It was really weird, man. And so I went, she's like, that's very nice, honey. Right? Very sweet lady. She got saved 2 years later. Went into my dad's room and started telling my dad basically the gospel of the closest one that I can compare it to was Matthew, which is very interesting. It's my favorite book. I'm telling him about the gospel, telling him about the story of Christ, telling him basically the truth of this reality that we live in, because we're all guessing and we're all thinking of it, even if we're not. Okay, because we're wondering, you know, how am I in this place? What is this place? So he got pissed off. He sent me out of his room. I mean, pretty aggressively. He was not, you know.
Oh, he wasn't pumped to hear about it?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was so funny. My mom was like, this is very nice. My dad was like, get the heck out of my room.
Really?
Yeah. And so I went into my bedroom. I sat on the corner of the bed and I literally said, God, if you are real, if this is real, if all of the things that I'm going through is real, I need a sign. And literally, not even a second after I said amen, my dad busted into my bedroom, pushed me down on my bed, threw his phone at me. It was an old Nokia phone that had little push buttons back in the day. And he said, I'm tired of you annoying me with this stuff. He was using profanity. And he's like, I don't want you texting me it either. And so I said, what?
Were you texting?
No. This was a text message from an unknown number that had like 45 digits to it.
Oh, what?
Oh yeah, it had 45 digits to it, maybe even more than that. It just had it was just continuous numbers until the number bar or search bar
Was
for
filled
numbers
up.
was filled up. Yeah.
Oh.
And so I'm like, what, Dad? No, I did not text you. And he goes, it literally is saying everything that you just said to me in the bedroom. And I looked at the text message and it literally I'm getting chills right now, dude. It's crazy.
What?
And it said everything that I just told my dad, preaching to my dad. Again, I just got saved. I don't even know what the heck's happening to me. Right. And, the Holy Spirit's working in me. I'm telling you right now, that's what was so different of my reality. I was trying to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out, but I read about it. I learned what it was when I started getting into the Bible afterwards. But anyways, yeah, showed me a whole and it said at the end, it said, your son is trying to tell you the truth.
What?
Yeah. Wild stuff, dude. Wild stuff. I'm telling you, people have supernatural experiences. That's like one of my only ones, right? I've had some other ones like confirmation stuff, but that was the most confirmation I've ever had. And I prayed to God, like with faith, to tell me, please, I need to know. Like, I felt like my family, I felt like I was the only one. I was a castaway in my family. And so
were you able to convince your dad that wasn't you?
He supposedly got saved 3 years later after that. Oh, it was really hard for him to understand that was spiritual. Again, like he's the normal man interpreting this.
Mm-hmm.
And me, I'm the spiritual minded now, and I see what it was. And I'm trying to tell him, but he couldn't understand it. And it's funny, we still talk about it today. And so, that happened, and man, 2-3 weeks later, right? Because we're talking about the tribulation.
Yeah.
2-3 weeks later. Now, I've always had this kind of thing in my life where I've dreamt things and I've lived it out as deja vu. I don't know if
press
you've
the button.
Oh
No, it's fine. We're not going to.
Go ahead.
Oh,
wait. So what happens? You have because I know people like this. I grew up with somebody like that.
It's
that
weird,
would have
and it makes me feel like
good.
I'm on the right path or the will of God. Like I'm supposed to be where I'm at. And so I would have these dreams where I wouldn't remember them until it became a deja vu moment. Then I would remember that I dreamt this.
So when you're having deja vu, you're not just feeling like this is do you have deja vu outside of that?
No.
Okay, that's interesting because I always wondered about that. Like my best friend growing up would have these moments and he'd be like, dude, I'm having deja vu. I had a dream that we were standing on this porch, ringing the doorbell, waiting for somebody to come and answer the door. We've been here before. Like, and he would do that like periodically. And, he didn't know what to do with it, but that was always how he interpreted deja vu, where I would have deja vu and I would just have this, but maybe it's like an interpretation thing. Maybe I'm just looking at it wrong because I would say maybe most people, it's like, I have the distinct feeling that I've been here before, but I've never associated it with a dream. I've just said like, oh, this is weird. Like, and you're in it for a minute. It's like, oh, and then I stepped over here and then this thing fell over and then somebody said that thing to me. And I'm like in it for a few seconds, 10, 15 seconds, and then it just dissipates and it goes away. And it's just like, I always said it was really strange because you can have a feeling of like being hungry, and you know what that is. You're like in a caloric deficit, you need to eat something, or maybe you're addicted to glucose and it's triggering that. You could feel tired. You know what that is. It's I've been running for too long, I need to rest. You could feel all these different emotions, and they have a tangible grounding point. Or you can feel like time is on a loop for a brief moment, for about 15 seconds, and you've been exactly in this place doing this thing before. And then everybody has that, but we just go anyway, and you just continue on. And it's like the most anomalous thing. That deja vu is like, I think if we ever knew what deja vu was, we'd be like, what? Like, I think it's like a tinge of the supernatural in everybody's life, and we don't know how to file it away.
You know what's funny, man? I like getting to think about that Nokia phone. How, I mean, that's one of the first of its kind. You're talking about just a brick one, Snake, right?
Yeah, Snake, right? Steven, the ones that do like the Nokia phone that does like the Snake game. Yeah.
It's that kind of phone.
Yes. The one that when you texted, you had to hit the button 3 times.
Yeah, that's the best.
Classic.
I got real good at that.
So that's like the first of its kind as far as like this generation of cell phones. But when they release new technology, there's often quirks with it.
It's like a ghost in the machine in
It's
the
like
early
like
renditions.
these things are like more susceptible to supernatural stuff, and then they go, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
You know, here you go. This one's much better.
This one has
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's not going to do
Yeah,
that.
this one's much better.
Yeah.
Face, but this one flips. It's a razor.
Yeah.
Razor thin.
Right.
We've worked out the daemons.
That's it. That's what happens. Yeah. They kind of iron out the
You know,
details.
I've gotten
and
an email from that before, like Damon, which is the AI software that runs behind a lot of these, you know, networks, especially
I did not
Google
know
and
that.
Microsoft and all that.
No, I didn't know
it's
that.
kind of wild.
You got an email from it?
Brian, I've gotten an email from it before. Yeah, it was an AI generated email that told me something along the lines of that, you know, these users that you have emailed in the past, blah 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 blah, or something. I was like, what the heck?
That's
it's
interesting.
Damon. It's a daemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Sorry,
it's like an
off on
admin controller, but that's just interesting how that type of equipment might have been more accessible to the spirit realm for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I have another question. You don't have to answer if it's too personal, but what do you mean supposedly saved 3 years later? Like you're not sure.
So my dad, right? Yeah, we've had talks and stuff, and I think sometimes there's a real thing to where people will go and do things to satisfy other people, and I think that's kind of maybe what it fell into.
That's interesting.
Because I can still see my dad and see the fruit that he's producing, and he's still like confused about a lot of things. And you know, I think that the Holy Spirit is a real thing. I'm just gonna tell you right now.
Oh, yeah.
What I felt that night, and it's still been with me to this day. You know, it's like the Holy Spirit is something that locks you in my opinion, to, you know, the kingdom of God. Now, can you lose that salvation? Possibly. I don't know. That's a debate, right, for another show. But I think God keeps you on a leash, you know, and you can go off, but you always find your way back to the shepherd, right? You always find your way back to the owner. If that makes any sense. But I wanted to tell you this: 2 to 3 weeks after my salvation, I had a dream. Right. And so I've had heart problems.
Now you
Boom.
There it is. There it is.
Like I've had, you know, medical problems here and there. We all have medical problems. We're flesh and blood, right? That are deteriorating, and we're in a de-evolution process from what we were initially created for. But, you know, I had this dream 2 to 3 weeks after I was saved. I didn't ask for the dream, and I didn't have any intention. I didn't see anything the night before or that week that would give me this dream. This dream was not like a normal dream. If anything, it was more like a hybrid of a vision, a dream. It wasn't a sleep paralysis thing. But anyways, the medical stuff, I had a heart monitor on, right? And the heart monitor was on for 48 hours, and I was on the back half of that 48 hours. So I was on the last 24. And so I'm in my sleep, and the dream I was on a big piece of property, and I was with 2 others. That one to my left was my wife, but she was like silhouetted. I couldn't see who it was. I just knew it was my wife. It's funny, I was with a different girl at that time rather than my wife now.
Oh, it's
This is
interesting.
going to be an interesting story here. And then to my right was another loved one, right? So I have a wife and a daughter right now. And so this is kind of like what I'm alluding to. I think that's who these people were, right? And so I'm on this big piece of property, which I have a big piece of property now, right? And in this dream, I looked at both of them and I said, "Are you ready?" And I grabbed both of their hands. One was shorter than the other, which means a kid or someone, you know, of a small, like a lad, right? A little child, maybe. And so I remember looking up at the sky. The moon was red as blood. The sun was completely blacked out, right? Black as sackcloth. And the sky started to crack, like it was fracturing, and it rolled back. It was like one of the most wildest things I've ever seen in my life, but it was so real. It was like so real to where
rolled up like a scroll.
And I understood how, in a way, it could happen. That
like in your dream,
in my
like,
dream, I
you
was
understood
like,
the physics almost of it.
Because I'm like, it's space. How does this happen? But I had the understanding that I knew why it was doing, and I knew how it was happening, but I can't even explain it.
Do you think that you knew it because you were keyed into some information, or did you knew it because when you saw the way it happened, it like,
and like that makes sense.
It flipped on in your head?
I think what I mean by that is I think I knew it was scripture. And so I knew it was true no matter what it was doing. but the way it was doing it was in some other side of physics that we can't understand, but exists. That
Okay.
makes any sense,
Okay.
right? Because we can only understand what we can, number one, recreate and manipulate and experiment on.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Even
Or
the
what
stuff that we think we
objectively see.
understand, we just kind of say we understand it. We put a
Yeah.
definition on it. And we're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, they get it.
Right.
Like when you
right.
go like quantum theory, I'm like, somebody understands that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we just can interpret what our mushy brains can
Yeah.
allow it to think or
Yeah.
understand. And so when that happened, remember I said, "Are you ready?" When that happened, I saw just a great bright light. I knew everyone in the world could see this light, and then boom, I get shot up into the sky. My family's no longer with me. I'm in a white robe, and there's a multitude of people from all different kinds of tongues, all different nations, all different kinds of cultures. And Christ was coming in the clouds with fire in his eyes. I couldn't see him, his physical, like what because I remember I was trying to look and see what he looked like, but it's almost like you can see a shadow or a silhouette that's blending in with this light that's just so bright. And so, and he's coming on a horse. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, yes. I just was like, yes. I was like, yes, and that feeling that I had going up, right, was like a feeling you would feel when you go in a roller coaster drop. It's like G-force or something,
Yeah, okay.
where you're getting, you're just, your body's moving way faster than it's supposed to. If that makes any sense.
The physical is trying to catch up with how
but I
demanding
wasn't
it is.
who I actually was on Earth. Like I was actually who I was. It's very interesting concept.
What do you
to think
mean?
about.
So you were two different things when you were on Earth and when you were
my
up
spirit
there.
body. I think it was who I actually am.
Were you jacked?
I hope so.
Jacked? I
Little
hope so,
taller.
too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hope so,
right.
dude.
But anyways, like I that dream woke me up out of my sleep, and I remember being shortness of breath, and I remember going to feel the heart monitor, and this heart monitor had a 12 lead on me. 12 lead is 2 stickers over your sternum, and then 4 stickers underneath your left breast, and then 4 that are on or 2 on your shoulders and 2 on your lower abdomen. So I had a lot of stickers on me that were supposed to be reading my heart rate and stuff, to try and get into playing college baseball and all this. I had to do it, right? Medical examination or whatever. And when I went to feel for it, it was gone, and it was wrapped up on the counter in front of me. Like my dresser.
Like can't leave any clues about what just happened.
Like it was taken off of me in the middle of my sleep, which was like another confirmation of what I just saw. Yes, that really happened. I don't know. It's weird. Something very crazy and weird. I know it's like.
Do you have any
This guy's
inclination
nuts.
of what happened to your physical body in this dream when you were taken from?
I don't.
Banger of a dream, dude.
I don't.
Do you have any? So going back to that dream, you said that they weren't with you. So do you think they were among the multitudes?
Yeah, it's almost like how some people talk about where it's kind of like where in this other dimension, right? Well, in the kingdom of God, in heaven, there will be no need for marrying, or there will be, like, you'll have family members, but we're all the children of Christ, or we're all kind of in one big family, rather than I just have my specific family and that's it. And I didn't have any want or need to like search for them. I just knew we were all where we were supposed to be. It was happy. There was like no sin. There was no, no tiredness. There was no sadness. There was, if anything, it was like almost an out of body or an NDE experience. And I don't know. Now, there's been times in my sleep where, oh, and by the way, actually, that heart monitor did read that I went into a lethal rhythm that night, which is so funny.
Oh, so that implies that
So
it
that might
was
be
on you.
Right. But what was crazy about it is that it was taken off. I don't know who took it off. I don't know why it removed
And
itself.
it was like kind of bundled up and like put.
It was like coiled
up and put
coiled
over
up
there.
and put on the dresser. I was like, this is wild, dude. So this was before I even knew anything about Revelation 6, the sixth seal.
Oh,
This
wow.
is before I knew,
I will say,
Matthew
like
24.
when I had that dream that I just described, this is a dream. Don't do it.
Damn, dude.
I wasn't like familiar with scripture. Like I wasn't reading it, and I was a kid at the time, so it's not like you're in Sunday school and they're like, here's the book of Revelation, here's like these prophet, even like some of the New Testament stuff when Jesus is walking, there's like, we weren't really doing that. We're doing like Noah, stuff like that, light stuff, talking about Jesus, but not necessarily these descriptions of him entering through the gates with the palms coming down. And you've seen my book. Like I think after that, you see my childhood Bible, right? The only book the only chapter in that Bible or book in that Bible that's like heavily highlighted is the book of Revelation. And it's almost like every scripture. Every like, I don't know why. It's like, all this is important.
It's wild to me, like doing this show, not only the guests that we have on, but also like the chat. You'll constantly get stuff like this prevalence of biblical themed dreams is massive. It's massive.
My mom had his, I mean, we can't have her on the show.
I know we can't, yeah.
It's just too much. But just trust, he's saying no.
No, trust me. Just please. But she has had dreams, and I've listened to her dreams, and I'm like,
she's never told you the one that actually changed her.
But the one she told me about, the one where God was whipping down fiery balls from,
did.
Yeah, dude. And it was like, and she was like, God's face was twisted in anger, and she couldn't really see his face. But
they're having biblical prophecy dreams, and she's never read the Bible previously.
What I'm saying, when I was a kid, I had that dream. It's like now I recognize it seems like Jacob's ladder, and it's like, but I was a kid, I didn't have any grounding for that. And it's like, if that isn't confirmation that, like, I wasn't raised religious at all. There was I wasn't brought up in a house that really went to church or that talked about God or anything like that. It wasn't like they said anything negative. They didn't say anything at all, really. And yet when I'm a kid, I'm having dreams about what I now recognize is Jacob's ladder. And so many of us will have this experience, and you go later on, you gain the context and you understand. But like, that is the kind of thing that when people go like, oh, why do you believe what you believe? It's like, I wish I could give you this intangible spiritual thing, because if you had the experiences that I've had, you would believe what I believe. This isn't, the information helps and the scripture is important, but without the spiritual feelings, I don't know, I would never have the ideas that I have now. If it wasn't for the things that I've seen or if I've experienced it, you can't give that to people. Which is why it's very hard for me. Like, I'm happy to do this show, and the audience is along for the ride, and we get messages all the time about it bringing them, back to God, or maybe brought them to there for the first time or something like that. But it's very hard to try to.
It's also why I take this show so seriously. We were talking about beforehand, like I took Tower Gang pretty like serious, but not the amount of work. I mean, maybe 10 to 15 times the amount of work I put into this show, not just because of the amount of content that we're doing, because the nature of the content.
Yeah.
Like, this is very serious. We say a lot of retarded thing. You watch sometimes.
It's like, geez,
it's
man.
like
disavow.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I'm sure Matt told you these guys, they're in their sanctification process.
It's my comedy relief.
At least for somebody.
But it's an important topic.
Yeah,
I feel like that we're attempting to tackle. So I'm like, well, if it's this important, I'm going to the thing underneath me here. That's like a guitar thing. When I used to play music in the church back in the day, I was like very serious about it, because I'm like, if I'm going to do this thing, this is important. I'm not just screwing around here. Like, I have a nonsense garden out there. I'm screwing around. That garden is not good. It's fine. This is a thing that I should take more seriously.
Matt's making you feel insecure.
He's making me feel, and I should.
Matt has a food forest.
Really?
Yeah, he does. It's legit.
Okay.
Man. It's legit. Yeah.
But the things that I, for some reason, I think matter, I'm like, well, I need to pour a lot of time and effort into this, and you do, because whatever we're doing here seems important.
Yeah, I'm glad to be doing it, because to me, it's the most important work that I've ever done in my life.
Well, I tell you what, we're on the front lines. And that's why the attitude we have is pretty serious of what it is we're doing. Like, we're trying to not only get a good message out there, but I think we're also there's something in us moving. There's something in us wanting to do more, wanting to do better, wanting to have more success.
This isn't something you do half-heartedly.
No. Well, especially with the topic that our shows cover, it's either
you're in or you're out.
Yeah, it's highway all the way.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And if you're not moving fast enough with the traffic, a lot of things are going to pass you, if that makes any sense. And I appreciate how you guys are very serious about your show. And I love the comedy part that you also bring into it, because you bring in that's another piece of the crowd that you're able to send your message to. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I grew up playing baseball my whole life, but my goodness, have I learned a lot of things from it that I use now in my everyday life. That makes sense. These are tools that you guys have. You guys are very skilled. You have a lot of attributes that you're using to make, to build a relationship with your audience, and to build a relationship with more people that are out there through the shows and the content that you guys are creating. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I feel like? I feel like lately God has been putting things like, I hope Matt doesn't hear this, because I don't want him to think too highly of himself.
But talk about time travel.
Well, I'm not going to talk about time travel. I wouldn't dare do that without Matt. But this idea that like God has been putting people in our lives recently who are grounded in Him. It's like, we haven't shed the comedy aspect, but we've determined that this is the direction that we need to go. This is where the truth is. And that has informed a lot of like how we make our content too. Like, it's a Christian show. I won't pull the gun out right now, but it's a Christian show. And so, but then after that decision happened, I feel like there are things that are just kind of falling into place where it's like
falling in, falling out. Yeah. Like we said,
falling out, falling in. Yeah.
After Bohemian Grove, we were like, that was cool. But it's not what we want to do. It's not really what we set out to do. It's just obviously things turned out.
Yeah, we wanted to make like a race war. We wanted to make things got really crazy at Bohemian
I wanted
Grove.
to have a focused show. It was supposed to be.
Oh, it was never going to happen.
Focused around MK Ultra, the alien phenomenon, and things like that. We tried, got canceled. You saw how it was a response to what happened. And I was like, it's not necessarily what I want to do going forward. Not even sure if I want to do it again, if it's going to be that way.
It's got to be something different.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I dedicated Bohemian Grove to God. Like, I made it like an out loud dedication. And in so many ways, it almost felt silly, because I was like, God, we're giving you this thing, if any good can come out of it, but I'm basically handling a pile of turds, and I'm saying, can you make this something, useful for the kingdom of heaven?
Dog, I can't use that.
I don't like this message, by the way. Again. Elohim said seventh heaven, more like seventh hot dog. That is very disrespectful.
Well, you got things to work on, but yeah, I was like
a good hot dog.
I said, it was clear to me for whatever reason, and it doesn't make any sense, but I was like, what we need going forward is like actual community. And I think the community to hold us a little bit more accountable for what we're doing, because if it's just me and him in these chairs and these people, we're gonna fly off the handle.
Oh yeah, these people aren't helping us. Yeah,
no, look what they're saying. Milk.
NDS puts the blap in broken F words. Good God, man, what does that even mean?
I don't even know. Milk. Drink some milk. Things like this.
These people aren't helping us. But now that Matt's in our life, I like Matt. I said, and I go, I don't want to disappoint him.
I said, we need community. Yeah. And then I go into a coffee shop one day, and it's just like, he's like, what does that say on your shirt? Huh? What's that? You know what that is? I was wearing a Nephilim Death Squad. And he goes, you know about the Nephilim?
Yeah.
What do you know about it? Sit down. Tell me right now. I was like, here we go. Yeah. So he's out, and it's like, well, we were looking for like the community, and the community's like, no. Now you're here, and you can't leave.
Yeah.
Like you're in. And he's like, make sure we come to the shop. Right, David?
Yeah.
I've
been coming to the shop.
He makes sure I go to the shop.
I have been coming to the shop.
And I make sure he goes.
I've been doing it.
For some reason, I feel like I must go every weekend.
You should, dude. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Well, he's not open on Sunday, so don't show up on Sunday.
Don't show up on Sundays. Okay. Apparently, we're going to be doing a Book of Daniel Bible study on Sundays. But yeah, I mean, it's like
you off on Sunday?
You should, yeah.
My schedule changes every week. It's 24 on, 48 off. You know how it is.
Right. No, I don't know how it is. That's insane. What?
Firefighter schedule. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Good schedule, but like it's rough.
It's a crazy one.
It's not consistent.
But there is something about like, this thing. It's like if you ask God, and I had a little bit of an issue where I asked God and then he told me what to do. And
you should do the Bible study with us.
That would be great.
That would be fun,
we figure it out. We got to figure out.
What I want to do it Sunday mornings. It's just like,
well, now I want to go back to church on Sunday morning
to the 501c3.
Pastor Rick Crush
He did
He
crush.
crushes.
He did crush. Honestly, we should post his thing to our channel somewhere.
I'll play it. I'll play what he said.
Well, it's a long thing. How much
No,
can
it's
you
just
play?
a minute. We'll play a minute. I'm sorry. This is how the show goes.
No, this
you
is
know.
good though.
that's
You got to
cool,
put
that's
on your
cool.
headphones to this one though, so you can
Okay,
listen to
okay.
it.
That's Tucker
No, you don't want to listen to
Carlson.
Tucker Carlson liking Charlie Kirk to Jesus?
No.
No?
We're
All
going
right.
to listen to Pastor Rick.
Okay, let's bring Pastor
Crush.
Rick up on the stage because
Um,
he did crush. This is our pastor, Pastor Rick. He's the man, and he doesn't like the gays, I think. Let's see what he has to say here.
Pastor, if we confront the issues of the day, we may lose people. Sorry about that. But how many of you know the truth will set you free? I'm not so worried about who we'll lose as much as I am about who we will gain by preaching the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Let's go.
Amen.
Crushes.
Crush.
At one point,
I like that old
point,
guy.
dude, he started sobbing at one point.
Yeah.
He got like, he was like, I just want to think about the. Oh my God, Pastor Rick, good God, man.
No, but he's a dude. He's like, and it's a church that seems blessed, more blessed than the previous churches I went to, and I think that they are because of what they do. But he was up there. He was like, I don't really care if you don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care if this is like if the offering pot's not as. I'm like, that's what I expect from a church. I expect you to address these hard issues.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because
And-
like Steven said, it was like you've seen horrifying,
Mhm.
but that video, and this is why when people go like, I don't think it's real, I think it was a squib, I think it was like, I don't know, dude, because that was heavy.
No, it looked pretty real to me, man. I don't know. He got hit right in the carotid artery, and what you saw was the actual ejection fraction of the heart. Heart was still beating. Again, I've run on calls where people's heads were crushed, but the heart is still beating. Okay, the heart will beat until it kind of goes into a rhythm that's called pulseless electrical activity most of the time when like traumatic events happen to people. But for the most part, the heart's still beating until you go into hypovolemia, which is you have no more fluid in the tank, right?
Yeah, you're all
But
out
what
of
you
hydraulic
saw
fluid.
was that ventricle filling up and shooting blood out. And there's a lot of blood that goes to your brain. Like it's not, I can understand, maybe people are used to venous bleeds or capillary bleeds, but that was a carotid bleed. And so when people kept saying over and over and over on social media that he got hit in the jugular vein, even military guys, Navy SEAL guys, some of these people were misquoting what that actually was. That was a carotid artery bleed, and you will bleed out in probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes, right? You only have 7, I forget what it is, 7 liters of blood probably in your body.
Mm.
It's not that much. A liter bag is probably this tall, and it's got 1,000 cc's in it. It's not that much, right? You've got, 1 in each thigh.
Well, I got
pretty much.
probably 2 in each thigh. Got big
It's got
thighs. Yeah.
trunks.
Thick boy.
Yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, dang.
The way his body reacted too, it was like, then Charlie Kirk is a hell of an actor with impeccable timing because the way his
I
body.
just hate this.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's something that we have to talk about, I think, because I don't want to give anybody the impression that we're going to shy away from a thing because it's emotionally charged.
We were talking about it right then. People
I
didn't
know.
like it.
I just want people to understand that
They
the
were like,
reason
these guys are laughing, but like it was like
No.
nervous,
When
like,
it first
shit.
happened,
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, that's a way that people deal with trauma is by laughing. So if
the
anyone,
laughing tapered off as soon as we saw the video.
Yeah, it was like nervous laughter, and I was like, "Is
Because
this
we were
actually
like,
real?"
somebody said in the
Yeah.
chat, they were like, Charlie Kirk got shot. We were like, whoa, what? And then
Yeah.
we watched the video and we were like, whoa.
Then we saw the
what?
closer one, and we we're
Right.
like, "Yeah, that's not good."
That's not good. By the end of the
Right.
show, we were like,
By the end of that video,
demoralized.
they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, he's being transported to the hospital." Like, there's no,
That was
Yeah,
like
he
among
is,
the
but
first,
it's
no.
done.
early
Well, I
reports.
tell you what, too, like my mom was watching the news and everything, and I saw the video. I said, Mom, he's dead. And then she's like, well, he's in the hospital. He's in critical condition. I was like, the news is waiting for a perfect opportunity to get this information out.
Yeah.
And what happened, Donald Trump was the one that actually said that he was passed away, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But
Apparently, the
again,
very
it's-
first person to say it was actually Netanyahu. Said it before Trump, which is
oh my gosh.
and the Jerusalem
No,
Times.
let's not get into
Yeah,
this. That's
yeah,
like a
yeah,
whole nother
yeah.
Can we talk about other kinds of like the Raelians? What is this?
Okay, yeah. What, is it
Yeah.
Raelians that you're into?
Dude, the Raelian thing, I
is into
I
Raelians.
swear, dude,
Now we're gonna have
that was
some
the
fun.
AI thing I was listening to on the way here.
Yeah.
No, the Raelian thing is a trip, man, because I tell you what, I was unfamiliar with it. I had a guy on my show, Greg. His show is Strange Sauna. I don't know if you've ever seen clips of him, but he's in a sauna and he does these little 1-minute videos
That's
and
hilarious.
stuff. And that's his studio. It's pretty cool. But he brought it up on my show and he's like, because we were talking about 2030, Agenda 2030, the red heifer stuff. We were getting into this whole idea. And he was like, you know, this Raelian cult, right? This guy, Claude, you know, he was told by a mind speak voice. They call this, you know, telepathy, or they call this an unaudible voice, whatever. There's a bunch of different names for it.
It's always like that, though, whenever people communicate.
Well, you know,
with
it's funny
entities.
too, with that experience that people have, there's a big similarity with also Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
And that as well. So I was like,
It's all
are you dealing
telepathic
with the
communication.
Eliud here, or what's going on, right?
So it seems to be the case.
No, Elohim. They sing
The
little,
Elohim, right.
Yeah.
Well, the Eliud is coming from a story that Bo Kennedy did.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love that story, and I
It's
wish
wild.
I wish there was more like it, because it exists almost in a vacuum by itself. And I'm like, man, there has to be more instances of this like Eliud concept being associated with Bigfoot, and I haven't found them yet. But I will continually beat that one anecdotal story to death on this show.
Well, it's a reality gripper. I think it really speaks to what the nature of these things may be, and so, or at least, you know, have a lot more validity to it. But, you know, so this guy, he gets called out into the deserts. He's told to bring a Bible with him. He actually goes, and he's in, you know, central France. He comes across a dormant volcano there, and out of the sky appears a bell-shaped UFO that approaches down, and out of the UFO comes out what they call themselves as Elohim, but they're actually scientists, right? These Elohim call themselves scientists.
Wait, this is with the Raelian cult guy? I don't remember this part of the story.
Yeah. So because they call themselves scientists, because they told him that they were the ones that engineered humanity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They
So
used technology,
big gay
and they did-
Anunnaki stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now it's so funny because I had a guy on the show the other day, episode 76, Craig Hunt. He'd be a cool guy to get on your show too. But he stretches real far with some of this stuff.
Okay.
In a good way. It's just outside of the normal theological perspectives. And so
this guy here,
yeah.
What has he got? Any good
sure.
titles there? He's like,
He talks about in Genesis where it says, "Let us make man in our image." He
Sure.
believes that is the Anunnaki. That's the collective.
I mean,
That's
I
the
don't know.
council.
It's just like the Anunnaki story omits the idea that there is one central creator God, and that he potentially sought the counsel
Mhm.
of his previous creations before he created humanity, and was
Mhm.
like, you know, what you guys think? Because if you look throughout the Bible, consistently God will ask like for input from, you know, the angels are able to petition him, you know, there's Lot is able to petition him, right? I mean, is it
Yeah.
Lot that's able to? Yeah. So it's like there's all kinds of instances throughout the Bible where God isn't acting in a vacuum. He does like communicate with other entities, whether they're human or, you know,
He gets the credit.
he gets the
right?
credit. Yeah.
It's like God working in us right now. And we're doing these shows and we're reaching an audience, and people are actually hearing about the story of Christ. And maybe,
Right.
but people are coming to the faith. Maybe people are actually, you know, maybe moving from their deconstruction phase back into the reconstruction of their faith, right? So there's movement going on here, and it's all glory to
I think
God.
it's just different. You know what it is? It's like the Anunnaki. It's like God the Father versus these things. You know, like, so it's our Father in heaven, or it's these things
Mhm.
that made us. And it's like, maybe you had some hand in it and some input or whatever. And maybe you were even commissioned to some degree, but it's like it's like the fallen omitting God the Father.
Yeah, I've even thought this too, like, okay, because it's just a thought experiment. It's not what I necessarily believe, right? So let's say these Elohim, right? They actually did construct the fabrication of a human body, but they can't create a soul. You need a soul to actually live in the body. I think that's why Frankenstein could never have life, because there was no soul, you know, until he actually stole the soul out of a werewolf and then put it into
Is that Frankenstein's story?
right? I think so. At least from the movie Van Helsing, that's the whole idea.
I'll
of
take that as an
taking the
authority on
energy.
it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I can kind of go by, but I'm probably wrong anyway.
But that's the idea too, is that like, you know, you remove God the Father and then we had divine purpose when we were created. And then it is reduced to, we created you and you're a slave race and you're meant to harvest gold so that we can suspend it in our atmosphere, because the atmosphere of our planet is dwindling, and somehow suspending gold in it.
What Stephen's saying is like that is their multiple attempts throughout iniquity, throughout, is that the correct word? Iniquity. Antiquity. Wow, I'm an idiot.
I would have allowed it if you didn't. Thank God you see. Yeah, you caught yourself.
That's their attempt throughout antiquity to replicate the human soul. I don't think they cannot do it, but what they seems like they can do is like these egregore type of things, necromancy type of things, where they're like can substitute almost. It seems like if you're paying attention. Have you spoken to Nathaniel Gillis yet?
Oh, I got him actually. I think like 3 weeks.
He's great. He's awesome.
So yeah, he's gonna tell you about this stuff. But the substitution part is real. The recreation of a soul is not. So now we're getting into like AI territory, Neuralink territory. They do it through other spiritual means, through SRA, through, you know, all kinds of like enchantments and things like that. But they cannot replicate the human soul. It's just something that is beyond their power and grasp. I wonder why.
Right, because I think it's something that they are trying. Yeah, they're trying to figure it out. They're doing it through occult practice, rituals, and they're doing. I think it's either fallen angel is able to inherit a body, or a disembodied spirit of a Nephilim is able to inherit a body. But it's already it's a soul that's been created through the process that through God's process, right? Through fertilization, right? Like natural process of natural fertilization, right? Where zinc, they say it's zinc that actually is the flash of light, you know, when a sperm enters the egg, and this is where you have the process of conception and all of this. But, you know, I've even talked with a guy, Trevor Lohman, which is a pretty cool guy. I'm not sure if you've ever had him on the show, but he's written a book called God's Eye View. But he's a neuroscientist. He really talks a lot about, he really wants to get down to the understanding of these spiritual ideas, but on a scientific level, right? So we talk about consciousness on my show all the time. And, you know, I think that the consciousness is the life in the blood, right? So how does that get created? But I think it's a gift from God. I think it's only something God can do, right? We know that God creates us in the womb, and that starts from fertilization. But back to the, you know, the Raelian cult, right? So they say that from 1945, from the Hiroshima bomb, right? This is where we have entered into the times of revelation. And they want mankind to usher in a time of peace before they are allowed to come back, right? And so with that whole idea, they told this guy, you know, Claude, but they gave him a name called Rael, right? But you think of Rael, Israel, and you think of the symbol also of Raelian cult.
Yeah,
the
swastika inside.
Well, they changed the swastika now, and it's just a spiral inside.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, which is like, you know, if you ever think of a spiral, it's black and white, right? And so it's duality. It's all. It's just kind of like, and it's something to bring you into a delusion.
It's a portal. It's all kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. And so they told Rael, which he's the 40th Messiah, they say, right? The messenger, right? Yeah, and there was many people that came before Rael, you know, Jesus Christ, you know, Buddha, Muhammad,
this
all
is
these
Galactic
other
Federation of Light territory now. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they want an embassy to be built here before their arrival.
Like a temple, maybe.
Yeah, like a third temple. I'm thinking.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is, and I don't know why. Now what I was saying earlier in the show, I think these elites might be worshiping the same idea of this kind of religion, basically listening to these entities, and they believe in them more than the truth, that they're going through their reality and they're doing things to try and bring in this prophecy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this is kind of like what the rabbinic in Israel are accused of doing, which is furthering a long prophecy, despite the fact that it gets to a very dark place because it ushers in their Moshiach, which is where they would be incorrect. You know, we either get an Antichrist situation, or they would realize that it's actually Jesus and they were wrong about the first coming. Interestingly enough, Chris, I mean, what the hell's his name? Damn it, who's the old homosexual bald man? Cliff High. and he says that, my mistake, it was a disrespectful way to describe him, but Cliff High calls them the Elohim worship cult. And he's like right there. He just doesn't realize that there's a delineation between, fallen and, Elohim that are still in the grace of God. And I don't think he separates the two of them. So he just goes, oh yeah, these or whatever that run the world, they're worshiping the Elohim, who he believes is like a real race, but he looks at it as like, it's just like one of the many types of aliens that are out there. I'm like, all right, whatever, man, keep it going. But
right,
yeah,
stretch,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a stretch and an effort.
It feels weird to get stretched too. It's like wild, but I feel like it's just don't let it impact certain things that you obviously are grounded on, but it's like, okay, put it on the table.
Well, some things are worth reaching for,
yeah,
and then sometimes you reach over there and you go, that's crap, and you don't want to mistake the effort of reaching for meaning the thing is now valid. But
I'm glad I do the show like now in this phase of my life, because it's hard to hear these ideas and then not want to cleave to them. But I learned a lot of interesting lessons coming into this, whatever the hell I'm doing now, where I'm like, don't tie your identity to an idea. Because you say, especially in the political realm, you see people like, I am this kind of Republican, and that's in their name, and they're like, turns out Republicans are pedophiles.
Right.
And they're like, my entire existence is about that now.
Yeah,
right.
It's like, so I'm able to look at the ideas and be like, nah. But the one idea that I have always had in my life, it's been the pin in the middle, is God.
Yeah.
It's like that one, no matter how far I kind of like circle around it and stray around, I could always look back and it's like, that's like true north.
I've had that, but I was able to like later on in life, because it's like, you can say, what is God? And I realized that even before I was a Christian, I had a memory pop up from like, I don't know how many, 10, 11 years ago, whatever, on Facebook. And it was with a guy. And I'm like, oh, I remember that guy. He was an atheist. And even though I was like agnostic, or I would say that I was agnostic at the time, he and I were constantly in these theological debates where I was giving evidence for a creator and he was giving evidence for some Neil deGrasse Tyson homosexuality. And I was like, it's interesting because even back then I was doing that. The pin that I was able to put in eventually when I crossed the line of like 30 years old was Jesus Christ specifically. Like that pin, I was able to go, boom. Okay, that is incredibly valid to the conversation. But yeah, it's there are certain things you can't get married to your ideas, because then you end up becoming like a Billy Carson, right? So it's like Billy Carson. I know we beat him to death on this show, but it's like he became the Anunnaki guy, and it's like he built an empire. You got quite a bit of money off being the Anunnaki guy. Now you have this whole thing built around you with Anunnaki guy money. If you go, oh, I was wrong about the Anunnaki, but now you got a big problem, Billy Carson.
And what I like too about like having different conversations with different people, and it kind of builds a tolerance to seduction, if that makes any sense, right? It's kind of like, you've heard this story here, okay, well, you don't subscribe. Well, you've heard this story here, okay, I get that, it doesn't, I'm not subscribe, right? Whatever. But I feel like, at least for me, over time, I've built some sort of tolerance to seduction, because I'll tell you what, like I've fallen into that category where I've been seduced by some of these things.
Like cool ideas.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is too, I've felt my a war over my faith. If that makes any sense.
Sure.
Like, for example,
don't you want to astral project, dude?
Yeah. No, I've never done. But the thing is, like, when I think it was like 8 years ago, when the Bob Lazar UFO documentary came out.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Caught me, baby.
Yeah.
Caught me. I got hooked.
Yeah.
I was being wheeled in. Right. And what's so funny? Like I said earlier in the show, like, if you're truly saved, you're on a leash. You can go pretty far, right? But you will find your way back, or the owner will pull you back in some sort of way. You might be ignorant to it, but I went down that hole. I felt a war for my faith. I felt like I was falling into this, this idea of aliens, and if that's true, then what is my faith?
Yeah.
There's
more
answers out there than what I'm believing in. And I felt like this pull, bro. I felt this pull. And then I prayed. I said, God, I'm going through something crazy right now. I said, I'm not jumping to any conclusions, but I feel a wrestling going on with my faith. And it was the Holy Spirit in me just doing backflips, right? I just didn't know it. And then what do you know? A few weeks later, month, whatever, I started to learn about the sons of God, started to learn about the actual true narrative.
That helps everything, dude.
It does.
It helps everything. It squares it all.
Well, it also made the Bible come more to life, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think of like this great delusion that people are going to fall into in the end times. It's because they love not the truth, and they are believing in seducing doctrines of demons and all this other stuff. And when I saw that, and I was like, oh wow, tolerance built up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I now understand, where if I see others falling for it, I can at least try to give them a message. Hey, been there, done that. This is, that's a big thing too, which wanted me to start a show, is to talk to people about this narrative that is not popular in churches, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Elohim is not something that's super popular.
I've not heard it mentioned once at church.
You don't go there for that. I
guess so.
Yeah, it's something that I kind of struggle with.
You gotta come to terms with it, I guess.
Doing the show is like, well, what's it for? It's for some things, but not this.
Well,
if you're looking for deeper answers, you gotta. I'm not saying like go to Nephilim Death Squad but like if those are the people who are talking about it. If the biblical hitmen are talking about it, then hear them out, see what they're saying.
Yeah. I realized that so I talk about like my journey to Christianity, and I know I always say like it started with that moment of like, whatever that demonic encounter was. But because of that, I was like, dude, I need to find content about this. I need to find other people who have had these experiences. I have to hear them talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like that led me to confessionals. So like in that way, Tony's show was actually instrumental in me turning that corner, because that was like the number one place that I found that was, these people having bizarre experiences that were like mine. It's interesting because I agree, the fallen, the Nephilim, all that stuff, once it plugs in, it really fleshes out, brings the Bible to life. But if you don't do that and you kind of look over to see what the church is doing, let's say during that time, the Bob Lazar thing, which was huge. I was driving through the deserts of Arizona at the time, and I was on my way to, actually, I might have been in Nevada. And so I'm driving through that expanse and I'm listening to this story from Bob Lazar. It really was like, I have been on the road for 4 days. I was gripped, man. Nothing to look at but sand and desert. The exact place that this guy's talking about, the landscape looks like that in Air S2, whatever it's called. Area
looking for S4 in the mountain.
Yeah, I'm scanning the horizon insanely, and at that time, I remember that the alien conversation had reached such a peak as to garner a response from the Catholic Church, and the Pope's response to like the public sentiments of aliens was like, if they're out there, we'll baptize them too. And it's like, dude, what a falling on the face, intentionally or otherwise, of what is seen as the representative of the church. I mean, I know that's Catholicism and that's different, but if you're not religious, and I wasn't at the time, you kind of see them as a unified thing. The Vatican, the Pope, this is church. Christianity, Catholicism, we're mincing words here, but it's basically the same crap, right? So this guy, I'm just talking about my ideas about it at the time, comes out and he goes, yeah, we'll baptize them too. And it's like, what? So this guy's not even taken into account. Like, I've got, man, I know you said don't go to Nephilim Death Squad, but better to have a conversation with us in an effort to maintain your faith in Jesus Christ.
No, it's not about some things. It's certainly about this topic.
About that topic right there.
Yeah.
Than the Pope, who literally just fumbles the ball. And you could say whether or not that's on purpose.
You could go to Timothy Alberino too.
Well,
sorry, what were you going to say, Steph?
No, so when I read about that in this book called Exo Vaticana, which is by Tom Horn, he actually went up to Mount Graham, where the Lucifer telescope, it's not a Lucifer telescope, it's actually a device that's part of the VAT telescope. But the Jesuits, right, which is like the scientific realm of the Catholic Church,
right?
They're almost like the CIA as well of that whole sect. But they've talked about so much pertaining to these extraterrestrial brothers, right? That they call them.
It's weird.
And I think more than them I think baptizing them is more of like a,
it's like
well, it's like when I came
joke.
into y'all's crib, right? Like
We baptized him.
I got gifts for you here, by the way.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll,
okay.
we'll do it later.
Yeah.
But you guys had a gift for me as well.
Hmm.
So I see baptizing as a way of that same idea, right?
Oh, like welcome, almost.
But like they're giving a gift to the extraterrestrials, they are also wanting a gift from them as well. And this is called they want them to evangelize them. The Jesuits actually want the extraterrestrials to reteach them the Bible. And they actually talk about that when these times do come, when disclosure does happen and there is contact, that we will have to reread the Bible and reinterpret the whole entire thing. This is like their words, right? Like quote for quote, because Tom Horn went up there and actually interviewed a lot of these Jesuit scientists and these priests that are up there. They not only, talk about that, but they also invite in internships from colleges all over the place. They bring them up there. They let them look through this infrared, technology, which is the Lucifer device.
Yeah, the Lucifer.
Yeah, in which you can actually see deeper into space, and you could actually see way more clear. And there's things going on every day out there that defy the laws of physics of what we know it to be, right? So I think there's a lot of interesting things pertaining to the Jesuits and the Catholic Church, because Catholicism kind of meaning universal. There's when you look at the Pope, there's obviously a Jewish star on the side of the Pope's hat. And then you've also got that hat resembling a lot of the Dagon, right? Which is like the fish god.
It's just a pointy hat.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what you mean by the fish hat.
And you know what's crazy? The staff that he has as well resembles, the pine cone, which is what the Anunnaki were holding.
They got that weird thing, like their auditorium is shaped like a viper's head.
Yeah.
And then they have like that.
Hall. Yeah, that's crazy.
Jesus emerging from a atomic blast.
Have you ever seen a picture that has been duplicated of that split in half? And
it looks like a lizard man, right?
Yeah, it looks like an alien coming out, which is kind of wild.
Like, what?
That it's interesting to reread the Bible again and not translate it, but interpret it differently after we make contact with these, or we remake contact with these Elohim.
It's kind of fun to imagine like how they would lie.
I'm very interested to know what they would say, how they would reinterpret this. I'm sure they'd visit Genesis 6.
I think it's what how the movie, I know we've talked about this on prior shows, like especially when you guys have come on my platform, where it's kind of like the Avengers, man. It's where Thanos is coming. He's the bad guy.
Right.
And the Avengers are here. They're the heroes and they're the saviors of this planet. And they're here to, in a way, like evangelize humanity to their truth. Right. And it goes deep. A lot of that too connects with the Raelian cult, right? Like the Raelians, they call themselves well, I think it's Rael that actually said that they're the Elohim, but they actually claim themselves, their name is Yahweh. And so, which it's like this idea of Gnosticism inverted, if that makes sense. But to the outside source, like to us, it's Gnosticism. We it's basically Lucifer's the good guy, which he would want to call himself like the Most High. And it's so funny, I started doing deeper research on the Raelian cult, and they actually talk about Satan being a subsect group that is a part of their off-world planet that did not agree with the scientists who came here, the Elohim that came here and made us.
Yakub.
Yeah, so it's like, it's this narrative that's building up.
I wasn't aware of that part of their story.
Yeah.
We covered it, and we focused a lot on
cloning.
The cloning aspect.
Cloning.
Because that freaked us out. It was like at the time of Eli. Oh yeah, it's like, by the way, cloning.
But they're out of Utah, right?
I don't know where they're
at.
Oh, the headquarters of the Raelian headquarters is out of Geneva, Switzerland, by the way.
Are they? They're not allowed in the United States anymore, right? Or has it moved?
That's the Mormons who are out of Utah with all the.
Isn't that funny though? Geneva, Switzerland. CERN,
yeah, CERN. Yeah,
throne of Satan. Right. It's like this whole idea of when you kind of put those things together. Again, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Don't listen to anything I say.
Well, I mean, it's hard because I've been talking about this recently, how I have like so many ideas in my head and so much information, whether or not all that information is valid, it's definitely up for debate, but I've reached the point of diminishing returns where I just have so much going on. I think that's what like the Bible talks about, leaning not on your own understanding. It's like once you get really high up there, the concepts and ideas that you're dealing with are so complex and so there's so much skin in the game choosing one or the over the other, that it becomes like I've given myself a million different islands to stand on, but at any moment those islands can fall through, and they look very promising, and you can kind of like, you know, lash them together with some rope and attach them to one another, and like I think this one's pretty sound, but if you put one on the island, you know, that you lash it and it's going to collapse, it'll bring the whole thing down. And I've just gotten to this point where like, I don't know, I've gotten a lot more comfortable, I think, saying I don't know, and just kind of like almost like putting it on God, because I recognize like, yeah, the amount of information that you're dealing with once you break through a certain threshold is so, it's like it's harrowing. I've almost reached that point, and it took like a long time, but I think I'm pretty much there where I'm like, I almost want to, I don't even want to zoom out. Like I just want to zoom in and focus only on God.
Amen.
And just do that, because I don't, you know, there are people that are way, way, way better at this than I am. But from where I'm standing, I'm like, you got to be incredible at this to ever hope to get towards anything that like you could actually preach to people is the truth. You know, if you're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. And it's like, I think like the fallen and the Nephilim are important parts of the story that I hold on to. And like Jesus being this central component, and then like, you know, God winning in the end seems glaringly obvious to me. But once like you get wrapped up in Gnostics, like all these people that are like real Gnostics, and they're really going through and they tell you about the text, and they know all the Yaldabaoth and all this crap, and they're telling you about all the different, I'm like, maybe, dude, or maybe you're just talking out of your ass, because, or maybe I'm just, it could well be that.
Well, too, like I think maybe like it's almost disorienting, right?
In a way, but it's like,
right?
I've been looking at this for so long. Why should I now be reaching the point of disorientation?
I think we're just getting older.
Yeah,
could be that, dude.
We're also like
right?
like with those kind of guys, they're chasing their own tail, and I'm like, I'm gonna chase your tail with you. Like we've already established that you're looking at entities that have rebranded themselves throughout time.
Yeah,
continuously.
It's simple.
It's kind of simple. It's fun. Sometimes we'll have these episodes where we'll be like, well, actually, you know, Azazel was, you know, representative of this person, and maybe Zeus was representative, and it's like fun. In the end, they're we kind of know like the long and short of it. I need to know how to talk to somebody that is in that field, and I think we know how to do that.
I know how to talk to people. What I've almost lost is the ability to talk to a normal person. Like
we got it.
Well,
you don't have it.
I don't have it, because I tried to interact with somebody on like Facebook recently, and I was like, I only did it once, and I saw where the average person is at in this pursuit of knowledge of bigger things, and I was like, oh no, I'm almost so far out into the ocean that I can't reach you.
Here's the thing, I tell you this all the time, and this is a good, well, I don't know, you nail it. I tell you on the show, what do you do when somebody comes and they don't really know what to say, or you ask them a question and they give you a one-word answer? What do I tell you every single time?
Call him.
Shoot. No.
shoot him in the chest.
No, you just look at him.
Yeah.
You go, okay, interesting, because you came here, so tell me. And then they go, you let them talk. Let them say what they're going to say. They're going to explain themselves in a way, and then you just sit there and you pick. And you say, well, I have an answer for this, and here you go. If you just like flood somebody with what you know, they're never going to hear it. My mom has done that to me. I'm never going to hear it.
I really got to like you in order for me to do that, I think.
You get somebody to a spot where you could then
Like
dump
them?
information, dump them. But like the normal person, you let them talk. They're going to tell you what you need to know about them, where they're at. And then you just, here's a little bit. I'm never going to change your mind on this. What we've done, this rabbit hole that we've dug with this show and other shows, you will never explain to somebody in not even 10 conversations.
No.
It's like, you have to sit here for months. So I'm like, what I can do is just give you a little bit.
Even
That's it.
It's weird because like your own spouse, like my wife doesn't know, because I come out, I'm done with the show and I'm like, she's like, how was the show? I go, good show, man.
Yep, that's what I do to
She
my
goes
wife.
like,
too.
what'd you talk about? I go, we talked about some stuff. It was this, it was that. It was really good. I'll give you a couple of minutes worth of a footnote, 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll just talk about like life and everything. We'll just go back into our normal conversations. She has no idea. My brain is like Swiss cheese, but not in the way like I've done meth and now there's holes in my brain. Like my brain is a series of connecting tunnels from one topic to another. And it bridges from one thing to another thing in a way that is like, every time we make a new bridge from one topic to another, I go, oh my God. And that stays there. And then I'm constantly going through that tunnel. Like, look at this, man, this is crazy. You see the way that we get from
do
here
it
to
with
here?
your wife. Figure out how to, if you can creatively red pill, whatever. I mean,
My wife, I was telling my wife,
it's not even the red pill. It's a
my
blue
wife.
pill.
no,
It's
it's
just
a blue pill, but she knows, because sometimes she goes like, oh, we'll bump into like a fan of yours and they'll say to my wife, you know, they'll go like, oh, what about the Anunnaki, let's say? And she'll go throw her hands up in the air and she goes, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know, that's his thing. And I go, no, babe, you know more than we're talking about the show. He eats a package of cold hot dogs. You know what? That's not my wife, but that is still true. But she knows more than the average person in any given scenario. And she doesn't know that because we're just not, you know what I mean? So I don't have to worry about catching her up, but she still doesn't understand the depths of my madness, I think is what I'm trying to get at.
Guys, I actually got to run soon and it's getting hot in here.
It's hot as hell, dude. It's so hot. We have a guest in
I'm so
here.
sorry.
And,
No, you're good.
And we can't
I think
even.
it's the headphones that make me hot. I'm not used to.
No,
the,
it's
No,
just
it's
the
my
hot.
ears.
It's the heat in his unair-conditioned
It's
home.
beautiful.
It's like you come in here and it's
I'll
like a bit of a
explain.
flop sweat. Really, is what you feel when you walk in here.
You go into his house and the air
it's like
conditioning
six-
set at Chile,
Chile.
the place.
No, it's 69
69.
degrees
I was gonna
currently
say
in my
69.
house. Nice.
Rainforest.
What do you want to say? You want to say something?
Nothing. Let's bring it in for a landing. It's been a good day of podcasting.
Yeah.
It has
Tell you
been
what, let's
Cat
bring it in
refreshing.
for gifts.
Oh,
Gifts.
shit.
Okay, we're gonna get gifts now.
All right,
We
little fun gift.
Give me
Costed
the better
nothing.
one.
We didn't give
Um,
him we should have gave it to him on camera so we would look
Yeah.
like with good people, decent people. Now what I don't like is that you've given it to us in this pagan ancestral worship bag. And you know what's funny is it feels empty.
It feels
So
empty.
if we opened it and he said, haha, can we open it? Can we go? Is it all right?
Do
now?
it.
All right.
Do
We're
it,
gonna
do
open
it.
it.
What is it?
That's very funny.
Oh,
That's
hell
very
yeah.
funny, dude. Does
There
this
you
mean
go.
24 on, 48 off? Is that
There
what
you
just
go.
happened to us?
Thank you. This is perfect.
Let's
This is
go.
wonderful.
I wanted to be a firefighter.
Yep.
You'd have
It's
been a
even,
terrible
The
firefighter.
Nephilim Death Squad Fire Department.
Oh, I didn't realize it's on the front. Look at it.
Yeah, dude.
That's so cool.
This is amazing.
Oh,
Well,
that's
this will go.
awesome.
This is gonna go in the set.
Oh,
somewhere. I gotta figure out
100%.
where
I'm
this is
putting-
gonna go.
I want to put mine on Faceless's head over here. That's awesome. Dude.
To be
Thank you
honest-
very much. That's
Yeah,
very
bro,
nice.
No problem, man.
On him, it makes it look. It looks like you're.
You
about
look
to strip.
retarded. I'm sorry. I just had to get to the. I had to say it first.
You
You
know-
look like a 7-year-old grown child.
We're trying to do better here.
Steven, where can the people find your work?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks guys for having me on. I hope we can do this more often. This was a
Yeah,
lot of
dude.
fun, man.
Absolutely.
Well, now
man.
that we know that you're local, it's 100%. We're having
Well, we
crossovers.
knew he was local.
I didn't know he was that local though. He said it only took him like 30, 35 minutes to get here.
Yeah, it
That's
wasn't
crazy.
bad at all.
You hear that,
man.
guys? Triangulate his position.
Right?
No, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to come to my house.
There you go.
But yeah, you can find us, The Biblical Hitmen, pretty much on anything: YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, also audio platforms, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Oh, nice. You got Brad
And,
coming back up.
Sweet
Yeah.
Bradley. We
Yeah,
got to get
Brad,
Bradley
yeah,
back
yeah.
on the show.
Yeah,
We like
Brad killed
Bradley.
it. He's a good guy.
Well, this
Love
was
it.
nice, man.
Yeah, dude.
You want to take us out of here? I think I have.
Yeah, we're gonna take us out of here. We're gonna do some more stuff in the future. But guys, Until next time, whenever that is, maybe tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow.
Don't forget to obey, submit, and wear your firefighter hat.